Welcome to Spiritual Vacancy, the space where we stop running from the void and start filling it. I'm Brooke Ann, I'm a professional psychic medium, and in each episode, we dive deep into the practices, stories, and insights that turn spiritual hunger into spiritual wholeness. If you've been feeling like something is missing, you're in the right place. Let's fill the gap together, and your journey starts now. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Today, I'm going to be talking about our clairs. We have 8 different clairs that we're just naturally born with because we are made of energy and they are part of us. Some might be stronger than others. Some you might feel like you have never experienced or don't have. I promise you have it. You just haven't tapped into it, or maybe it's just one that you don't really need to work with. So the 8 Clair senses are clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairempathy, clairalliance, clairgustance, and clairtangency. So there's 8 different clairs, and it actually comes from clairvoyant comes from a French word called clear seeing, which each clair has a different role. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of them about me, and then I'll do another episode on the other clairs and kind of touch on them. You will find that some of the clairs you might not have experienced, and some you have, and that's okay. They do say that being a clairvoyant is clear seeing. It's where you see visions. It's almost like a movie screen or a projector screen is in front of you and you're watching a movie. They always say that's one of the rarest. I don't know who makes up the rules. I don't know why they would say that's the rarest. Maybe people put their own limitations on themselves. A lot of psychic mediums say are a clairvoyant. Sometimes that's even in their name, or come see me, I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium. However it is, but it's where they can see visions of past, present, and future. It can also be where there's predictions being made. I see a lot. I can see spirit. I see movies when I'm working with missing persons. It shows up as almost like a movie scene for me. I can almost hear like, like the old movie reels where they would like roll the film. That's what it kind of feels like to me. It's kind of blotchy, but it's in pieces and I can see the movie. I have seen certain things happen. It can happen in a dreamlike state. It can happen when you're meditating, or you might just be sitting there and you see a vision and it could come true and you don't know why you saw it. And the thing is, clairvoyance is not where you're tapping into somebody else's energy. It's where it is like a separate thing that you're tapping into, whether it's in your mind's eye or it's a physical thing that you can see, a physical image you can see. That is clairvoyance. So it's just that part where they're just kind of telling you. It's not looking over at the person. It has nothing to do with what they're going on. It's seeing visions. So clairvoyant is actually a very strong clair to have. But I also think we can all do any of them if we try hard enough, if we really want to focus on it, right? But for me, clair gustance, the clear tasting, experiencing flavors or taste in your mouth with nothing there, I don't really do that one. I don't taste a lot at all. I don't focus on that one. I don't really need that one in my practice. It's interesting too because you'll see other mediums work and they'll be like, I taste garlic or I taste blood. Teresa Caputo always tastes blood if there's like a bad accident. It's very, very rare for me if I taste anything. And I don't know why. I just think I just don't need it in my work. I don't need to use it. But yeah, so a lot of times you'll just be sitting there and it might be someone's favorite food, or say somebody loves lemon and you can, or sour, and your mouth gets that feeling of, when you eat something sour and you be like, oh my gosh, they must have loved sour because I taste it. That's that Claire where you're actually tasting things that you don't have in your mouth, but they're kind of highlighting and showing you what they enjoyed eating when they were physically here. Or even if you're sitting with, a friend or a family member and you don't know all of their likes with food and things like that, but then you start tasting certain food and it ends up being their favorite. That's part of that clear tasting. That is the least strongest one for me, and one when I think about it, I'm like, I think I've tasted something maybe twice. It's just not something that I think about. And I love food, so I have no idea why. Like, I love to eat now. I love me some ice cream. I love sweets. I love sugar. That's my problem. That would be like a whole nother episode about how I am need to go to like a sugar anonymous program because I have a sugar addiction. I will find out what the dessert is before the meal, and I might have dessert before the meal just to make sure that I have room for the dessert, eat, and then make sure I still have room for more dessert. I love sugar, and I know it's a problem, and it's not good for me. And I'm working on it. I'm working on my bad habit. So I just don't have the taste, right? It's just one I just don't get. The Claire Gustance is not for me. And like I said, I could do it if I want. You guys can do anything that you want to do if you put your mind to it. If you say, I want to work on this or I want to have this clear, I promise you, the more you study it and the more you start working on it, the more and more it'll start showing up for you. It's just one that I don't really care about. Now, the smell is very strong for me. That is called Claire Aliens. Sorry, Claire Aliens, which is just clear smelling, which some of these Claire words are so hard to pronounce where or say for myself that just say clear smelling, clear knowing, clear visions, clear seeing, clear feeling, like all that stuff. It doesn't always have to be so correct. I know a lot of people like to say, "Oh, I'm very, very claircognizant," and it's like, okay, well, in layman's term, that just means clear knowing. So you just know stuff. So if you don't want to get like hooked on the Clairs, like saying all the ones properly, that's fine. Just say what you are. You don't have to be so specific, which I love because that's me. I'm just like, I can smell, I can hear, I can feel, I can see, and I'm good. I don't feel like I have to say all the correct words, especially because I can barely pronounce it. You know, clear aliens is clear smelling, perceiving scents or odors without a physical source. And that is me. I smell stuff all the time, and it's can be kind of annoying. I can smell food, which I smell a lot of food. I can smell sweets, I can smell cookies, I can smell perfumes, I can smell smoke, I can smell just random scents that I might not even be familiar with. It is a strong suit for me, highly, the clear smelling, even before people get here. Their loved ones are already in my space before I do a session, and sometimes I can actually smell certain things that their loved one would have been doing. Like if there's a sauce they would have made, I could smell it on the stove. Like I can actually smell their house. Mothballs. Like my grandma, who is still living, she's 97. I'm going to see her next month. Their house, I remember their smell, the mothball smell. It's so gross. Every time I smell mothballs, I'm like, oh. And I just can't stand that smell. But if I smell that before someone's loved one comes in to see me, I know like one of their loved ones in spirit had mothballs around the house or the mothballs was a significant smell because that is like something that you cannot make up. And it is like the most distinct smell that you cannot dismiss either. And I remember this one time there was these two sisters that had booked a session. And it was probably like 10 minutes before they showed up. And I kept smelling popcorn. Like I felt like I was at the movie theater. That's how strong it smelled. And then as soon as they arrived, it switched to burnt popcorn. And we all know what burnt popcorn smells like. And so when they sat down, I was like, this is so weird. I said, I just have to tell you. I said, before you got here, I keep smelling popcorn. And then as soon as you came into my office, it changed to burnt. And they both started crying. Their mom made popcorn like almost every day and would get on to one of the sisters about burning the popcorn and said she always burnt the popcorn on accident. And so it's like those type of smells, like I can smell really well. My sniffer is good. But it's things like that where you don't want to ignore, especially like in your journey with spirit. If you smell things and no one's around, because it can't be, it wouldn't make sense if I was like at the movies. I'm like, oh, I smell popcorn. Well, like, no shit, really, because that doesn't mean it's spirit. You're literally around popcorn. But when you're in a spot that there's no popcorn, I don't eat popcorn. I mean, I like it, but it's not like something I buy. There's no popcorn in my house for like months prior. There's just things that you just can't make up, right? So it's It's got to be them. It has to be them. So pay attention. Sometimes I'll be sitting at home and I'll smell cigar smoke or cigarette smoke, or I'll smell like something's on fire. I mean, it's like all of those smells that come about, but there's literally nothing that's happened. My house isn't on fire. Nobody's smoking. Nobody smokes at my house. So I know it's spirit. Or a lot of times if you smell flowers, gardenias, and that was like your mother's favorite or a best friend's favorite, or powder. Like sometimes I'll smell baby powder really strong, but then they love like a baby powder lotion or that powdery scent on their body or their perfume. It's just to validate that they're around, that their loved ones are here. And I'm very strong at clear smelling. I don't smell death though. I know some people actually can smell death. That is not me. I don't smell death at all. I don't want to smell death. I would never ask to smell death. Um, because I never want to know anything that I can't like change. And if I can't fix somebody, I don't need to know it because it's not hurting anybody. It's not helping anybody, it's hurting someone, right? It's not helping. And I just want to help. I don't want to do anything else. Obviously, Claire empathy, if you listen to the last podcast about being an empath, that's what it is, just picking up on other people's emotions. And that whole segment is about that Claire, is about Claire empathy, Claire emotions, feeling other people's emotions as your own, taking it on and not realizing it, right? And then you've got clear audience, which is clear hearing. So the clear hearing is hearing things that are not there, or hearing things even with your own voice, where sometimes it'll make you feel like you're going crazy because you're going to be sitting there and be like, did you guys hear that? And they're like, no. And you're like, okay, so I guess it was just me, like my mind, my voice, but it's not. Spirit is trying to get you to say certain things or hear certain things, and we push it off as our own because it doesn't come through as in Spirit's voice or it doesn't change. And that's okay, but it's still there. So I always say, pay attention to things that you hear. Sometimes with me, my hearing will go almost into a like that buzzing sound, and it feels like almost clogged, and then it goes away. And it's like spirit's trying to get my attention. And usually it's when I'm not working. So I'm like, I have no idea what you're trying to tell me. So I'll start kind of looking around my surroundings, seeing where I'm at. Am I in public? Something going on with somebody? Should I exit? They're trying to get your attention for a reason. Sometimes we don't know though. But you want to pay attention to what you're hearing and honor it too. Because the noises and the sounds are like, say you start hearing someone play a trumpet or a guitar or a musical instrument and no one's around, then that person in spirit is trying to get you to show their love for music, or maybe they actually played a musical instrument. They might have actually enjoyed playing a trumpet or a piano. Like, what is it that you're hearing? And I always say try to make it positive, try to make it, not doom and gloom, not what you see or hear or feel or sense is bad in any ways, because our minds can be very tricky, you know what I mean? And we can go into a dark place real quick. So it's easier to go more into a negative space than is a positive space, but you always want to keep your thoughts positive, as in maybe it's just trying to like let you know of something, or maybe it's trying to warn you of something, but not of, anything major. Like maybe it's like you need to get on the road now, to avoid a wreck, or you need to do this, or, just see it and feel what it is. Like, see if you can tap into what they're trying to say to you, because it's there, that's for sure. And then clairvoyance, which, like I said, is the rarest one for some reason. And that's clear seeing, receiving mental images, symbols, or visions, which I think everybody can do that. It feels like daydreaming. I can do it. And some people see it in their mind's eye, where it doesn't actually sit in front of them. It's right here in their third eye, or as in they are daydreaming or dreaming like state. And for me, I can actually see it in front of me. So I can see almost like the image. It does look like a projector or a movie is playing for me, especially with missing person cases. It looks like a movie to me. But I can actually see spirit. Not all the time, but for the most time, especially with I'm working with one-on-one with a client, I could see them. Now, if I'm going into a haunted place, it's kind of like overwhelming, where I just know there's all these spirits, But if you know anything about me, I am huge about validation. I am huge about connecting with the right spirit and not just trying to make nonsense fit. So for me, going into a haunted space, do I see spirit? Yes. Is there anybody that can validate what I see? No. But if they can, I will tap in. If they can't, I don't really want to waste my energy into trying to tap in and then everybody's just like, oh, I don't know. We don't know. There's no records. Who knows? You know what I mean? So it can be kind of tricky for me or people that are sensitive to that can see. I like the validation. And that's part of my process too of like working. I love the feedback. I love that I'm communicating for spirit the correct way, that I am seeing, hearing, feeling, sensing, smelling all of the correct things for your loved ones in spirit. And I just was on Scare Network TV, did a documentary of the old jail in St. Augustine, Florida. And me and my husband investigated that in November 2023. And because I see, right? When we got in the jail, there was a man that just felt really heavy, very sad. He just was following me and my husband around. He wasn't scary. He wasn't bothering me. He just wanted me to acknowledge him. And so I had asked the tour guide, and this was an overnight paranormal investigation. I asked the tour guide, I said, hey, I am a medium and I can see spirit. And I was just wondering if any other mediums that have been in here, have they ever mentioned that there's like a bald man that just kind of like follows people around, just watches people? And he goes, no. And mind you, they don't really have any records of like hundreds of people that died in that jail. All of the records were burned. There's like eight, I think, known people that died there that were actually hung in the gallows, but that's it. That's like maybe even thousands of people that were killed there at that jail that they have no name, no nothing of them at all. So for me, that's hard because the validation isn't there, right? So if I'm picking up on a soul that it's not one of the eight, I'm like, well, I don't know because there's no validation, but I'm just telling you that there's a guy following us around and I can see him. And I actually caught him on video, full face, caught his soul on video staring at us in the jail. Bald head, you could see his eyes, his nostrils, his mouth. And I knew he was just like hanging out with us, but because I'm not scared of spirit, because I'm not afraid of them, I welcome them into my space. And I think the biggest thing is respect with spirit. Even ones that I don't know is, I thank them for showing up or showing themselves to me. And I'm not seeing him in my third eye at that point. I'm physically seeing him walking around us, and I got him breathing on my camera as he was standing next to me. And it's so fascinating because that was validation for me. And I am huge on validation. And it validated who I was seeing, but there was no record to it. So it kind of opens me up. Like, I do want to try, but when my friends talk about, well, what do you feel? What do you see? And I'm like, but there's no records. And that's really hard for me. If we don't know who I'm communicating with, I don't want to drain their energy, spirit's energy, or my energy trying to communicate, like just make the spirit boxes go off and I just want to be in the moment. I just want to enjoy, them showing that there's life after death and showing up for us in the group or whoever I'm investigating with. And that's it. I don't need to connect for them. I don't have their loved ones in front of me. But we all have that. We can all do any of these. Any of the things that I'm saying we can do. I can taste if I want to taste. It's just not a big thing for me. Which is weird because, like I said, I love food and I love sweets. But I just don't taste. So there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're going through and listening to some of the clairs and you're like, oh, I don't have that one. But if you find it fascinating, work on it. Start honing it. Start bringing it into your practice. Start figuring out what it is that you're missing or why are you not seeing it for what it is? Because that's what it is. We just push it off. We push it off thinking we're crazy. We push it off thinking, no, that's not true. And then when it does actually come to fruition, we're like, oh, I should have said something, but now it's too late. Now I don't want to say anything. Now I'm just going to be like, yeah, right. You didn't really see that, even though you did, or you felt it, or you knew it. Even with relationships where you just know certain people are doing stuff and they're like, no, no, no. And you're like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, you can say what you want. but I know there's some shady shit going on over there that I don't want to be a part of. And then come to find out, there was that nobody believed you. So that's part of these Clairs. So on the next episode, I'm going to kind of highlight more of the Clairs because I know I only went over a few. I want you to tell me kind of where you're at in your journey with, working on your Clairs, your senses, where are you at? What do you love? Let me know. And on the next episode, I'll go over the ones that I did not touch on today. But yeah, it's fascinating. We all can do this. So trust yourself. And I can't wait to listen to any responses you have or what you want to talk about. And I know I only went over a few, but I kind of want to do this in two parts because it's a lot. Eight's a lot in one episode. So I'll do the rest next time. And I just thank you all for listening in and for being here. And I appreciate you. And I hope you all have a beautiful day. And I will see you next time. Namaste.